Hello, and welcome to Read It and Don't Weep, the podcast that will help you breeze through your high school literature classes. Are you tired of struggling to understand the themes and characters in classic works of literature? Well, I've got you covered. I'm your host, Jackie Taggart, and I taught high school English for almost 20 years. Join me each episode as I dive into the world of high school literature and break down the essential elements of each work. From Shakespeare to Steinbeck, I'll cover it all. My goal is to give you valuable insight and analysis on some of the most popular high school literary texts, as well as tips and tricks for acing your tests and essays. Let's start reading. Welcome back. We left Macbeth in Act 3, Scene 2, planning the murders of Banquo and Fleance, determined to make sure they would not steal his crown. If you have not yet read up to this point in the play, it would be a good idea to get caught up with your reading and listen to my other episodes before continuing. Scene 3 takes place outside near the castle grounds and focuses entirely on the assassination attempt. This is a short scene, but it's very important. The two hired hitmen are already waiting in the dark when a third man suddenly joins them. When they question him, he simply says he was sent by Macbeth, which tells us this was carefully planned. The hitmen wait for Banquo, watching as daylight fades. Soon they hear him arriving with Fleance and carrying a torch. Banquo casually mentions that it looks like rain tonight, but before he can say anything else, the murderers attack. Banquo immediately realizes what is happening and cries out in betrayal. With his final breath, he shouts for Fleance to escape so he might one day seek revenge. "O treachery! Fly, good Fleance, fly, fly, fly! Thou mayest revenge!" In the chaos, the torch is snuffed out. When the darkness clears, the murderers realize what has happened. Banquo is dead, but Fleance has escaped. They have only completed half the job. While they do not know it, the audience knows that this means the prophecy can still come true for Banquo. The scene ends with the hitman running off to report back to Macbeth, and we already know this failure is going to matter big time. Before moving on, take a few minutes to record your thoughts in your reading journal. Why is Fleance's escape important, and how does it keep the witch's prophecy alive? Hey teachers! Are you looking for some top-notch resources to go along with this podcast episode? You'll find them right in my store. A quick click on the link in the show notes gets you right there. What awaits? A stash of guided questions, note-taking aids, and assessments to use with your students. Go ahead and make the most of these resources today. All right, we are going to a party. In Scene 4, Macbeth and Lady Macbeth are hosting the Scottish nobleman, and Macbeth is trying to play the role of an honorable king. He tells his guests to enjoy themselves as he mingles. But the moment is interrupted when one of the hitmen appear at the door. Macbeth pulls him aside and immediately notices the blood on his face. The hitman tells Macbeth that it is Banquo's blood and that Banquo is dead. For a second, Macbeth is relieved. Then he asks, was Fleance killed too? Nope. Fleance has escaped. Any sense of relief is gone. Macbeth realizes the prophecy is still a possibility, and so is the threat to his crown. His paranoia rushes back immediately. This is important because, as the scene continues, Macbeth will once again struggle to tell the difference between what is real and what only exists in his mind, just like he did with the dagger in Act 2. Now, Macbeth returns to the banquet, trying to act calm, cool, and collected, and even raises a toast to Banquo, calling him their dear friend. But when he goes to sit down at the banquet table, he suddenly sees Banquo's ghost sitting in his place. Macbeth freezes, and when Ross asks him to join them for the feast, he says, "The table is full." The noblemen are confused because they see nothing, and Macbeth begins to panic, shouting at the ghost and insisting it cannot accuse him, Thou cannot say I did it. Lady Macbeth immediately jumps up and tries to control the situation. She tells their guests that her husband sometimes has these strange fits, and that they should just ignore them. Then she turns to Macbeth and angrily whispers, "Are you a man?" She goes on trying to convince him that the ghost isn't real. It is just his fear creating the image in his mind, just like the dagger he imagined before the murder. She thinks he's overreacting and embarrassing himself in front of the nobles. She tells him he is not seeing a ghost at all. He is just staring at an empty chair. But Macbeth can't think clearly. He keeps seeing the ghost and rants about the dead things rising again. Eventually the ghost of Banquo disappears, and Macbeth tries to recover by raising another toast. But the ghost of Banquo returns, and this time Macbeth openly begs it to leave. At this point, the banquet is ruined. Lady Macbeth asks the guests not to question Macbeth as it will only make him worse, and then requests that they leave. The night ends in confusion and suspicion. This moment is important because it marks the turning point in Macbeth's story. Up until now, his rise to power has looked like success. But here, in front of the nobles, his control begins to crack. This is the start of his reversal of fortune. He is still king, but he is no longer secure, respected, or in control. In a Shakespearean tragedy, the reversal of fortune is what shifts the action of the play and starts to bring about the protagonist's downfall. When the guests leave, Macbeth says, "It will have blood. They say blood will have blood." He is basically saying that violence only leads to more violence, which is sort of true, and we see it immediately, because he goes on to say that he does not trust Macduff, and that he's already paid spies watching the other nobles. At this point, Macbeth isn't just holding on to power. He has started to rule through fear, suspicion, and violence. Then he makes another important decision. He is going to go back to the witches and ask for more information. He knows he is going down a bloody and violent path, but turning back would just be as hard as moving forward. This shows that he knows what he's doing is wrong, but no longer sees a way out. This is what makes Macbeth a tragic hero. His downfall is not caused by fate, but by the choices he keeps making, or his own free will. Instead of correcting course, he doubles down. And from this point on, his fall is no longer just possible. It's inevitable. For more on the characteristics of a tragic hero, please see my other episode. Before moving on, take a few moments to record your thoughts in your reading journal. How does the banquet scene show the beginning of Macbeth's downfall, and why is this moment important for understanding him as a tragic hero? Thanks for listening to this episode of Read It and Don't Weep. Be sure to subscribe to the show so you will be notified when new episodes are released. If you liked today's show, please leave a review so others can discover my show. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future episodes, drop me an email at readitanddon'tweep@gmail.com or reach out to me on social media. I'd love to hear from you. The links are in the show notes. Thank you for listening. I'm Jackie Taggart, and remember to read it and don't weep.